Okay, can you hear us now? Somebody say, let us know if you can hear us.
They can hear us now.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's start over. Good evening.
Oh. He forgot to turn the microphone on, and I would fire him, but he's teaching tonight's painting, so.
Yeah.
So, for those of you just joining, I'm Jenny.
I'm Paul.
And we are Go Box Art Crate.
We already went through that, but
Yeah.
you couldn't hear us.
Mm-hmm. So we are an art company that does a subscription box, and we're so excited to be here again for the next night in a row. Happy to see you guys. Hi, Anna. Hi,
Hello.
Adrian, Kim, Sydney. Love it. Love to see all you here.
Yeah.
We're excited to paint Haunted House.
We are.
Are you excited to teach it?
Yeah. I actually am. This
Good.
was a fun one for me to paint.
Let's zoom in.
Let's zoom in.
Zoom in. Make sure I click the right button.
There
we go.
So yeah, this is what we're gonna paint tonight. When I came up with this painting, oh, good evening. I have to keep doing that tonight. I feel like.
Thank you,
I'm
Kim.
I actually didn't. When I started visualizing this painting for tonight, I didn't realize what colors you had included.
Uh-huh.
So I actually had envisioned the sky as being purple. Like purple, and pink. And I really thought of Vecna and the upside down Stranger Things sky when I was coming up with this. So,
Oh, okay.
but
But
yeah,
wait, isn't it kind of orangey, that sky? Or
it's more of a red. It's actually just straight up red. But
That's what your plan was.
yeah, my plan was actually purple. But then we don't get to paint like just spooky green very often.
It's a good setting.
So it worked out good. I was happy with it. And because I always think of like my favorite Halloween colors. I know everybody goes orange and black, but I'm straight up green and purple.
Okay.
Yeah, those
I do like the purple.
I like the Munsters vibe, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so what's the hardest element of this painting? I think I asked you last night, and you thought maybe the clouds, but they're not really
Yeah,
clouds?
no, not really clouds. They're just blotches of color. So I would say probably the hardest thing is probably just probably the fogginess
Okay.
in the foreground. The house itself, what I did is I just Googled dilapidated Victorian or something like that.
Nice.
You know, just
I'd live there.
yeah, I just Googled like haunted house, and I found one that looked more. You know, actually, I had a thought on this, and I'm going to talk for a couple minutes, but we'll get started in a second. Remember I did that one sample painting that I painted raindrops, so like it was all out of glass? I thought about doing that on this and calling it the house across the street.
That's funny. That would
Like,
be
but
really
then I
funny.
was like, oh, that's just going to be a little too tedious. But no, so like if you guys like a different shape, like you wanted to do the Bates Motel, feel free to go ahead and look it up. Just whenever you look at a building, just think of it as basic shapes. So if you like look at, I know that the house looks like it's the most difficult part, but really we've got a triangle, a rectangle, and rectangle. It's just shapes. And then we just add some shading and stuff. And but the sky and the foreground are probably the most time consuming. And then, like, I had fun on this because I tried to find places to hide faces. So I hid a face in the tree, hid
I like
eyes
that.
over in here.
I like this entryway. I think that's really neat.
The entryway, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And actually, my favorite part of this whole painting is these two little pumpkins. Out of all the crazy things. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get to it so we can get at it. And get to those pumpkins. Yeah, I'll put that.
Keep it nearby. I'll put it right
Keep
here
it
on
nearby.
that. Keep it nearby.
All right. So let's talk about our colors. We're the same colors as last night.
Imagine that.
Nice.
These were the October month colors.
Yeah, and so this painting is very dark, but we actually don't use a lot of black in it. So most of this painting is a combination. Our lighter colors are the yellow and blue, and our darker colors are the orange and blue. And we do add a little bit of black here and there just to kind of tint and make it come together. So we got our craft yellow, craft orange, cobalt blue, black, and white. Yep. And so I don't know how tight we're going to stick to this.
We never do.
We never do.
We stick to it pretty good, but there's some things we put out of order.
Yeah, I mean, this is really just for people who don't want to take the time to come in and watch the videos and stuff like that. So you're going to learn more about just following along, because that's just the more organic process. So let's start off by dipping our brush in water.
Okay.
And get it nice and freshened up. And what we're going to do is we're going to start, even my first step on this kind of looks a little wonky, but in the instructions. So we're basically going to start with a little yellow, little touch of blue. It's going to take a lot more yellow than blue, and I'm going to add a little bit of white because this color is fairly translucent.
Are we making acid green?
We're just making acid green, yeah.
That's the color that you used some in college, and we
for sure.
tease you about it.
We're going to come up about
acid green again.
4 inches or so from the bottom. And I'm just going to start brushing this color in across. And I always like to start at the horizon. I feel like it starts establishing things early for us. Again,
hi, Lori.
We want the brush to go in all different directions. So try not to just go like this the whole time. Get it going up and down, side to side. I'm going to mix a little.
Swirl it in little curly cues.
You can do that too. I'm going to add a little bit more white, kind of in this central area. I think one of the things that makes a painting, especially like this painting, seem dark and gloomy and spooky is this lighter area along the horizon that's just kind of teasing us that, oh, there is light somewhere, just not here. You can't get to it. So once I've kind of just established this basic kind of lower area that's under the clouds, if you will, you can add a little bit of extra yellow at any time. So you can do that. I mean, if you guys are watching this and you are regular and you've got extra paints at home, you could totally do this painting with the sky being purple or pink. It works with blue, but
you might even have extra canvas. Just do a second version.
Absolutely. I think this is a fun one. But we kind of want to just get this area that's kind of this bottom couple of inches or so that is just sky-ish. Nothing's really sky-ish in this one. But I'm just going to keep mixing as I go. So if you've painted with me before, you know Jenny and I kind of handle this kind of thing totally different. She tends to mix big batches of paint on her palette and keep using that. I tend to mix smaller patches and just keep mixing as I go. It's just my comfort zone.
Are you adding more blue to that now?
Not intentionally.
Okay.
But if it does end up with a little bit more blue, that's good. You kind of want to feather it a little bit into your existing paint, but it doesn't matter. These are starting to get up into the clouds. And I'm just painting patches. Wasn't Patches a clown on something? Patches the clown?
That sounds familiar.
Don't know.
Some horror movie.
Probably.
Maybe it's from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Could be. I guess there's this new horror movie that's in the theaters right now that is so intense people are leaving midway to vomit.
Is it the one called Barbarian, or is
Nope.
it? Huh.
Mm-mm. Like literally, ambulances have had.
Wait a minute, what? That doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, ambulances have had to come out and help people with their hydration because people are literally passing out in the theaters.
That's terrible.
Yeah, like I was reading about that. I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun at all.
No, who wants to go see that? Some things just aren't meant for the screen.
So I'm mixing up a little darker color now.
The world is disturbing enough.
Right. Mixing up a little of our blue and orange, which gives us this really dark green. You can add a little tiny bit of yellow to it as well. And I'm just going to start hitting these areas that we didn't get. And sometimes you might want to just kind of wipe your brush off and just kind of smudge these in. You can play with this a lot, actually, so don't feel like you got to get it right the first time. Nobody does, especially on landscape paintings.
So you just mixed a blue and orange there?
Blue and orange, and I added just a little bit of yellow to help it kind of feel like it
goes together.
Yeah. And what we're wanting to do at this point is basically we want to make sure that we're getting enough paint on the canvas that we're hiding what's called the tooth of the canvas, so we're not seeing any white bits of canvas showing through our paint, but we're not putting a big old slick on there either. Like we want it to feel foggy, and it's hard to do that when it's flooded.
And I think because we're bringing such a dark color in next to those light colors.
Yeah, you want to blend them into each other.
So probably using less paint on your brush?
Yeah, a little less paint.
Then
stretch it a little further. As Bilbo would say, not enough butter stretched over too much toast, or whatever it was.
What movie? What
that
Lord
was
of the Rings? The original?
Yeah, the Fellowship.
I don't remember that part.
And we can continue to build this up, so... Yeah, the green is the blue and the yellow with a little bit of white.
Yeah, hello, welcome. Yeah, blue, yellow, a little bit of white. So you get that pale, I'm trying to think, I would call it margarita green, actually.
Yeah, it really is.
Instead of acid green. It's acid green isn't quite right. I don't even remember what you used to mix to get that kind of acid green color.
Probably cerulean blue and cadmium yellow.
You went through that phase.
I don't remember that phase, but you do for some reason, so I'll just go yes.
Pretty. Radioactive green, that's right, Sid.
It's kind of Yoda green.
So this also is a technique where you could, like, if your blend is not so good, like I just came back in, I washed my brush and came back in with some of the lighter green.
Yep, absolutely. Because the lighter green has a little bit of white in it, it works. In fact, you can even, I'll show you in just a second here. Here's a little bit of the lighter green. You can kind of come back with this lighter green and kind of make it pop a little bit more if you want to. The other thing that the natural instinct on this is kind of to use white to lighten it. And the problem with doing that is it loses that, it kind of becomes minty. So it loses that spooky tone. So if you want to lighten it at all, mix up a little yellow and white. So you can add a little bit of yellow to it as well. And that actually, you can even take pure yellow.
I'm going to say what everyone's thinking.
What's that?
You make it look so easy.
I'm sorry.
It's true. Your style of doing this cloud, you do make it look really easy.
Okay, so I've heard that in the past. And probably the best tip I can give on that regard is don't think about it too much. Like, if you ever, actually watch how I paint it, I'm not really putting a lot of thought. Well, you can't see what my thoughts process is. But I'm not there's not a lot of specific technique. There's not a lot of, as far as, I'm not thinking, okay, I got to do this technique to make this shape. It's just a lot of scribbling and smudging, and there we go. So I got kind of a darker little band through here. And you can take, a little bit of pure yellow. And just soften that edge up. All kinds of things. And none of this is wrong on this one in particular. Because if you were to take like the pure yellow, for example, and just kind of plop some in.
I think you're using more paint than I am.
Could be. That's a rarity.
That is a major rarity, but like I'm looking at mine and realizing I can see so many little white dots.
So I'm using yellow kind of to soften everything up. Now we'll come back and we'll add some more depth to this. I'm going to rinse my brush off really quick.
Wait, I'm still working on my
It's all
sky.
right. I'm just rinsing my brush. I'm still working on my sky too.
Okay, good.
Because what I want to do is I want to really make sure I get this bottom part enhanced. So I'm going to mix up a little bit more of our radioactive green.
Radioactive.
Oh, you're on random singing mode duty tonight.
Yes, I am. That's usually you.
It's usually me. So I'm just mixing up. I got a little bit too dark, but that's okay. It's not, doesn't really matter. Mixing up a really light version. There we go. Just making sure I'm coming across here. Don't be afraid of letting these colors mix and match. They're at the Halloween mixer.
The Halloween mixer. The Monster Mash.
Yeah. So that's, I'm happy with that right now. We'll probably come in with a little bit of black later and just kind of touch up these top corners, because you guys know I like to get these top corners darker. It helps bring the eye back to the middle. How you doing, Jenny? Are you ready to move to the next step?
You can move on,
Okay.
I suppose. I'm still gonna work on my sky though, because it got a little muddy.
Yeah, it does get, this sky is a little bit muddy. Actually, before we do the next step, we're going to keep working on the sky a little bit. I'm just going to take a little bit of pure white now.
Okay.
And just kind of this left third right at the horizon. I'm just going to brush a little bit. Now this is going to mix in. It's not going to cover. But it's just going to add this extra little glow. And you want to just kind of keep brushing out until that glow disappears into the other colors. You don't want to see like this hard transition. I toyed with the idea of putting lightning in this one.
I think it would compete with your snaggy tree.
It might and it might not. It's one of those things that I had to pick my battle. And realize that probably wasn't, this is not the right time and place. Just doing a little bit of yellow and white along this edge. Alright, so I'm happy with that. We're not going to do much more than that with the sky. We'll come back again. We'll come back and add some darkness in at the top.
So Mark says, Paul should know this quote, sort of a cross between piss yellow and puke green, ain't it?
Yeah.
From American Graffiti.
Totally.
Or as Bob Ross calls it, hooker's green.
Hooker's green.
Hooker's green. We've always laughed at that. Like, what is hooker's green? Have you ever even seen that color in...
I think they've changed the name of it. No, you know...
like, is it a legit color, or did
color.
he just call it that for
No, it's a legit
his
color.
show? Okay.
And I think it's named after the guy who developed the color. His last name was Hooker.
It's just an unfortunate name.
You know, at the time, it probably wasn't.
And there was another color that he always used. It was Van Dyke Brown.
Yep.
Van Dyke Brown. Okay, so that was also apparently named after
Dick Van Dyke, apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking a little bit more. Yeah, that kind of, I like that. Like I just took a little bit more of our dark color and I just kind of add some little dabs, some little kind of cutting across this little lighter area, and it really kind of creates a cool texture. And I did too much, but that's all right. All right.
So my darker cloud color is a little too brownish.
That's all right.
So I guess it would be okay. 'Cause sometimes the sky looks sort of
Yeah,
brown.
and the thing is like even if it's a little brownish, when we come back and look at it, we're gonna add some more of the black, and that will kind of resolve itself. All right, so the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna start creating our foreground, and we're going to we're not doing like big mountains and things like that. It was tempting. I'm glad I didn't, because I actually thought about doing like the haunted house like up on a cliff.
And then we did that last night.
And I hadn't seen your painting at that time.
Then I would accuse you of copyright issues.
Yeah. So we're going to start creating this horizon line that goes across the back. And one of the things that's kind of hidden in the finished painting is there's actually a lot of trees, kind of like this big one here, that are made with the same color. So that will be... This is going to be a little bit of a process. Oh, there's the top of my nose. I don't know why you keep putting that there.
What? This?
Yeah, it's too... I can't reach it from there without my head being...
What? You have like super long like orangutan
Yes,
arms.
you put it 17 feet away from me. All right.
You could reach that.
I'm mixing up blue and orange. You can see here, I'm going to add some white. You can add a little bit of yellow if you want to as well. We just kind of want
Blue,
this...
orange, white.
It's like everything but black, really.
Everybody in the pool but black.
I put a little bit of yellow in there just to warm it up. The white has a tendency of cooling things down. And, like, yes, you could be cool on this one, but I feel like it gets cold. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this color. That needs to be a little bit more white to it. So I'm just going to add some white. What you can do if you have that happen, you guys, you can just take your brush and wipe it off and just brush white right into it. There we go. Now it's a little too white. That's all right. We'll deal with it. We'll live. And I'm just going to make kind of like a little bit of an undulating... Yeah, it's a little too white now. That's all right. Little adjustments, never anything big. There we go. I like to scoop it up a little bit on the sides. Just a little bit. That gradual doesn't need to be this big, monumental shift of direction and curves and stuff like that. All right, so I'm just going to take this color, I'm just going to brush it down. Brush it down until it runs out. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. There we go. Anytime the paint's still wet, you can still make little adjustments to it on the canvas. And the colors we're using work well for that.
Is mine too dark? Probably.
A little bit.
A little more white.
Well, we're going to soften this edge up too. So it's...
Looks like you add a tree line or something.
Yeah. So that tree line, basically all we're going to do is we're going to take this same color that we mixed. We are going to take our brush. Once you've got your horizon line, the lower part's not as important, but as long as you've got your horizon line established, we're going to take that same color. We're going to tap our brush so it kind of splays the bristles out, and we're just going to come along this and just... Here, I'll see if I can do it like this. Just give it a little flick, and you can come back and soften that up. I always feel like this is, if you can do this on a painting where you're doing a landscape with a horizon line, this is a much better alternative to do this that we're doing right now than it is to just draw a line across and call it good. Of course, if you're doing like a desert scene, maybe it doesn't work as much. It just, if you're doing a seascape, it doesn't work at all.
Look at my palette compared to yours. So look at, there's Paul's.
Go big or go home.
A problem.
The
Like what you were saying earlier, I like to make big pools of color.
Well, the funny thing is, like, at home, you're the clean, meticulous one, and I'm the messy one.
It's true.
But our palettes...
So you admit it. It's on camera. It's going to be permanently recorded now. I can go back and play that for you.
Have I ever denied it? So if your brush ever feels like it's starting to stick to the canvas, it's because it's starting to dry out. Make sure you've got fresh paint on your brush. Your bristles are not sticking to each other.
One thing I missed, were you using the vertical edge to flick up like that to make that grassy
I
stuff?
tapped it to kind of get them to
Splay it
splay
out
a little bit.
So that's how you do it. Do you always do that when you do the tree lines?
Yeah.
Because I don't, and I'm like, I am doing exactly what Paul does, but my trees are not turning out like his. What's the deal? And so I don't ever do that. I don't ever kill the brushes like you do.
It doesn't kill the brushes. It's one of the reasons why I like older brushes, though.
Yeah. The boar bristle ones.
Or even just the old beat-up ones. I remember when we used to teach in the studio, I would intentionally find the gnarliest brush. And part of the reason I did that is, on more than one occasion, I had people accuse me of using better brushes.
Yes. I did have that once in a while, too. People would ask if I'm using different brushes. And
or even different paint.
Check. I'd be like, no, but I do have 25 years experience of holding the same brush as you do.
And I used to be a little, I could be a little bit petty at times, too. I had more than one occasion where somebody would say, my brush is too beat up to use. And I said, I'll just trade you. And then I'd trade them brushes and use the brush that they said was too beat up for the rest of the class.
That is very petty.
Nobody's ever accused me of not being petty at times.
Can't mix in a small area. Okay, yes, Debbie. She has the same problem I do. Can't mix in a small area and then it dries too fast. Yes, and I hate having to constantly remix color because, I mean, my arm gets really tired doing a big sky like this.
My arm gets tired.
Shut up. You're cruising for a bruising. Yeah, so I'm like, the less color I can mix, the better. It's amazing. You'd think, like, all the painting we do, that your muscles wouldn't get fatigued.
They do. But when we first started doing the studio and we were painting a lot, I didn't realize how much effort it actually took.
Because we were doing 16 by 20 canvases, too.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
I just had a little light. When I was looking up here, I had an area that looked out of place. Like it was a little... I was going to say it looked too brown, but then you were saying you've got brown in your sky. But that's fine, but I didn't have brown in my sky, so it didn't work. I've got some adjusting to do on my sky. Yeah.
At least it looks like the sky is pretty open until we add that big tree, so you got some time to work on it.
Yep, for sure. So what we can do now, too, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to shift down to this bottom edge. Or have you got your horizon line established there?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just kind of lightening it up. I feel like some of these ended up really dark.
Okay. So I'm just going to move down to the bottom edge for right now. And I'm just mixing up just blue and orange. And this should lean a little bit towards the bluish side of the color you get. You can actually, we'll just leave it like that. I was going to say you could add a little bit of black, but I don't want to do that yet. And I'm just going to brush this in here.
So I noticed that ends up becoming with black later.
Mm-hmm. So it's just underpainting.
Okay. Just laying a little foreground or background.
Yeah, I always try to think of like every little step as being like, okay, this is... once we get done with this part, it could be done, potentially. Like, it's not. But if you were to walk away from it and say, okay, I'm done, this is just my foggy, abstract landscape. Okay, fine. So I tend to like to go ahead and take these colors and work them into each other, even though we're going to paint over them. I feel like it helps build the depth of reality.
Okay.
You know, because like in reality, colors don't just, I mean, obviously if you've got like a road and then a mowed grass adjacent to it, you know, that color does stop. But when you're like looking across a field or something like that, very rarely do colors just kind of start and stop. They kind of want to fade into something. Fade into you, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, Mazzy Star.
A little Mazzy Star reference. We're going to come back through here and fog it up.
Fog it up.
Man, I fogged this up.
What the fog? Yeah. I actually beat you to the finish line on that. What the heck?
That doesn't happen
But
very
I
often.
need to go back and fix something up. I like that. You probably accidentally mixed a slightly different color right there. Did you?
Yeah. It's
Did you put black in it?
Nope, just a little bit more orange.
Blue and orange? Okay.
So while this is still, I'm going to kind of just take a little bit of this color and just kind of get it along this transition. And while it's still wet, I'm going to take a little bit of white. And I'm just going to brush this into that transition. Let those two colors.
Jeez, I just caught my brush with my black yoga pants.
Well, there you go.
Actually, looks like it didn't get any paint on them.
So I'm just taking...
impressive.
That is impressive. I'm just taking this white and letting it mix in with the base color down below. And then I'm just letting it
This chair's noisy. It makes me clicking noises.
Just letting it feather into the upper part. This is kind of creates our fogginess. You can probably hear my brush. I'm not using a lot of paint. It's just more like dry brushing, really.
Okay, so there are people I've discovered now that I joined TikTok to learn that app, in case I use it for advertising. There are people that do videos of just their sound of their brush scratching against the canvas because so many people enjoy that sound.
No. Interesting.
You would be the master of that.
I was actually thinking, I was like, yeah, we could rig up one of our phones right over and do TikTok Live.
ASMR videos. So people like the sound of people eating for the mukbang videos?
Oh, no, thank you. Forget that.
Paul does not like the sound of anybody crunching. He actually has, it's called misophonia, and he has it, and our daughter has it too. So if I eat something crunchy, I pretty much have to go in the other room.
It's not crunchy. It's not necessarily crunchy food. It's just the sound of eating as a whole.
So funny.
And it's not like, oh, that bothers me. It's like literally, it's one of those.
I shouldn't say it's funny because it might actually, you know.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a legit thing, and it creates an irrational response.
Yes, it does.
Where it actually makes you angry and you can't really control that.
Does it bother you that even more that my jaw pops? You can say it. You can.
That doesn't help, but actually, for me, overly mushy sounding food bothers me.
Really,
more
that's
than
worse
crunchy.
than chips. Mm-hmm. I always thought that you hated it because your dad used to tear off pieces of iceberg lettuce and crunch it.
I mean that.
He likes his iceberg lettuce.
Midnight snack. Head of lettuce and
Super healthy.
Head of lettuce.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of. I don't think it has any nutrients, but it's like better than like chowing down on a bag of Doritos. I mean,
you'd sit there with a half a head of lettuce and a
Coke.
Shaker. No, not that late.
And a salt shaker? Oh my gosh, I'm going to try that. Because I love iceberg lettuce. I'll just have to hide. I'll go eat it in the garage so that you don't have to hear the sound of crunching. But man, the salt shaker, that made all the difference. You could even use a little hot sauce.
Well, we didn't ever have hot sauce in the house. So all of this that we've got going on right here.
You didn't have hot sauce in the house?
No, we didn't.
I'm surprised.
Okay, I'm teaching here.
Sorry.
It's pretty sad, but I got to remind you. This area through here, it's a little bit bright right now. That's all right because we're going to bring some other color in and we're going to add some fog back in and things like that. So don't worry about that too much. We're going to go back to this color that we mixed for up here. I'm just going to use my big brush to mix it. And that
Which color are you mixing?
The horizon
okay, yeah.
color. So a little bit of orange, a little bit of blue, a little bit more blue, a tiny bit of yellow, and some white.
Kim said she had pica, and it was due to anemia, and she ate ice by the bagfuls. She'd send Mark to Chick-fil-A to get bags. Is it that little crunchy ice that's like the little funky round, the pizza parlor ice? That's the best ice. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I just found out that recently that most fast food places will sell you like a 5-pound bag of ice for like $1.50.
Yeah, you did just find that out.
I was like, what? Like you just go
told
through
me
the
that.
drive-thru and I'll just like be like, I just want a bag of ice, please. And they're like, okay.
You didn't have to get out of your car.
Yeah. All right, so I've kind of mixed up this color. It might be a little different, but that's all right. What we're going to do with these background trees is we're just going to kind of do a trunk. Yeah, it's a little darker. So what I'm going to do is if this goes on a little darker, I'm just going to smudge it out where it comes up. And have fun with this. Like, I'm usually like really meticulous and mean about trees being shaped right.
You're mean about it? No, you're not.
Well, maybe. I get all uppity about the branches going in the right direction.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Not having more than 2 branches at any intersection. But what you can do is add a little tiny bit of... You should be matching it to your painting.
I'm matching it to your painting.
No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to match it to your painting.
You just need it to be a little darker than the...
It doesn't have to be. It actually should be the same color as your...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then that shadow you put on there won't show up.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Micromanaging.
Yeah. You need to take a time out. All right. So I just made mine a little lighter. But really, you can have fun making these... And you can add a little tiny bit of water to your paint. And these, they're so in the background, they don't matter. Like, they really don't. You're going to cover up a lot of them. And so I'm just going to do several of these little trees.
I could crunch on that same. It is that kind of ice, the pizza parlor ice. And Linda just ordered booze in the coffin. Yay! And the Halloween ornaments. Oh my gosh, you're going to have so much fun.
It reminds me, I need to get my woodshop stuff moved down here.
Yeah.
So you can do like, when I did mine, I think I did like 4 or 5 trees on the right and like 2 or 3 on the left. Again, don't be like putting so much detail into them that it's taking a bunch of time. Like it really just, here's a trunk, here's a secondary branch, here's another branch. These become very background, and it just adds to the spooky vibe. The fact that the bigger tree in the foreground will mimic the same kinds of shapes, and so then that will just reinforce what's going on in the background. This is where I did a few branches that went the wrong direction. You can do broken branches.
Yeah, I think the broken ones really add to the spooky factor. But definitely having the water mixed in your paint is good here, because I've run out of paint a couple times
Yeah.
And I end up with this short, stocky branch that just doesn't look quite right.
And, these trees are, again, they're not that important, but what they do is they create an extra layer of depth for us. So that's why I don't want you to think about it too much.
Can we make these into baobab trees too?
Sure, if you want to. You can do whatever you
Dookie
want.
Ranch in the Serengeti.
I was just thinking of something I was going to say.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I feel like that TikTok meme about Gen Xers that, do you remember? Remember? Remember?
What? I don't know.
You've seen it, but you don't remember.
I don't remember, apparently. When I see, like, Stranger Things, that's what reminds me of my childhood the most, because I had, like, the same bike that some of those guys were riding, and that's all we did, though. I mean, like, our parents didn't really check on us. We just went out on our bikes with friends all day long.
Must have been nice to live in a neighborhood.
It was nice. I do have to say that.
We lived on a busy street, and it was like 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. When people drove the speed limit,
You
most
couldn't
people
ride your
didn't.
bike there.
No.
But you had the golf course right behind you, so you got to go out and...
Only after dark, and only if we could avoid the greenskeepers.
Was that... How long has that golf course been there? Like,
A long time.
Was it there, like, from the time that you were a really young kid?
I think it opened in the 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Huh. Didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, it was old. So if you think about, our little town was like, in the early 1900s, was like when you hear about the wealthy people from the big city having the lake house. Our little town was the lake house community where all the attorneys and judges from Portland had their weekend homes, because it was, you didn't drive to Bend back then.
Well, wasn't it kind of based around the iron smelting place that was there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was industry there, but that was all part of building Portland. So, anyway, so there's my trees. Again, if you want to do more, you can. But I kind of want to leave this area open here, so we've got a nice sky. We have a couple Chick-fil-A's in Portland, but not very many. I've been one time.
I've never been to Chick-fil-A, actually.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? There was one in the mall that I used to spend a lot of time in growing up.
There was a Chick-fil-A there?
Clackamas Town Center, yeah.
Really?
And I don't know, I always went to hot dog on a stick.
I remember Chick-fil-A ever being there.
Yeah.
Huh. News to me. All right, so...
But someone mentioned Sonic earlier. Yeah, Linda.
Yeah.
Now I'm craving those Sonic icy things that they have.
Yeah. We don't have dinner plans yet, so many things.
We're gonna drive into Sonic.
Many things could occur. Okay, so the next step we're going to work on is let's go ahead and work on our house, like get it started. I don't want to make it black to start. In fact, it's never really black. We add some black for shadows. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same house. I think if you read the instructions, I really skirted around the house in the written instructions. I think I literally just said look one up and copy it.
Well, you tend to get a little wordy on your instructions.
Well, and this, I mean...
And I don't mean that as an insult.
No, it's fine. But a house is a whole different animal.
It is.
Of trying to describe
So
how to
I
paint.
think you're instructing them to do that if they're doing not the video, if they're doing the paperwork instructions.
Yeah.
That's probably a good a good angle to take.
Yeah, it was too much. So I'm going to switch to my number 4 brush. You can use your smallest brush to clean things up. But I'm just going to mix up this, just again, our blue and our orange. No other colors. I just want it to be that just kind of dark in between. And basically what I want to start off with is I want to kind of establish our right-hand side. So we're going to start off with the turret. And it's going to be a little taller than our trees in the background. And it's going to be a pretty steep triangle. Maybe about 2 inches tall.
What brush are you using?
Number 4.
Okay.
You can go a little taller if you want. What you don't want is you don't want this house to get huge on you in a hurry. And it can in a hurry.
Popping. I need to stop leaning on the armrest.
But you can...
And you can pop it up?
Yeah, it pops up.
How do you do it?
Just push it up.
Oh, okay.
I'm totally leaning on
Way
mine.
better. Okay.
All right, so then I'm just going to go ahead and just, from there, just come straight down. I'm just going to come down maybe a half an inch, just a little bit taller of a... You don't need to fill it in right now, but if you want to, you can just take a little bit of white and add it. Let me know if I'm getting mumbly. Sometimes I fall into my little habit. Now, the thing that's really important on this is we don't want to terminate the bottom of the house. And what I mean is, like, we don't want to draw a line at the bottom. We just kind of want to, once we get down to the ground, just fade it out. Just feather it and smudge it. We don't want it to have, like, here's a hard line. That's how, this is how we keep it looking misty and foggy and rustic. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill this in for right now. I don't know why I filled in up there with that color, but if you get too light, that's all right. I made a rhyme. Do it all the time.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think my struggle with this will probably be I'll try to be too neat and it needs to be like broken down.
So that's actually, before we get going further on this house, you could make yours a little wider, by the way.
Okay.
This is one of the reasons we don't do houses very often, is it's really easy for our societal OCD, I'll call it. I'm going to make mine a little wider. I say societal OCD because I feel like as a society we are programmed to have OCD and make everything perfect.
I think so too.
And houses especially trigger that. I think outside of the paint your pet paintings where people had emotional attachment, the one time I had a lady in tears when we were painting Timberline Lodge. Mm-hmm. And she was trying so hard to make it perfect.
Oh, to make it exact. And
yeah.
Gosh, that's hard because you had purposely kept it pretty loose.
Yeah,
and suggestive of what it is and not like perfect architecture.
Right. And so she wasn't mad at me or the process. She was mad at herself because she knew she was trying too hard. Okay, so there's our turret. Now, I'm just going to keep using...
How are you doing on...
Oh, I've been empty for a long time. We're totally listening to Sticks on the way home, by the way.
Why?
I've been in this kick.
The Sticks kick. Mr. Roboto?
No, I actually don't like Mr. Roboto. That's like my least favorite song by them. We'll get into that in a little bit. So then the next thing we want to do is just right about where our roof line ends here. I'm just going to draw a line maybe about 3 inches wide or so. I'm going to go ahead and go straight up from the middle of that line about an inch. And we're just going to connect the dots here. Here's our roof peak. Go ahead and fill it in so you don't have that line. Again, try not to be too perfectionistic. This is an old, dilapidated building that's rotting because of the curse that resides within it.
If you guys like looking at old homes and on the insides as well, homes like this, I highly recommend you follow Circa Old Houses on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're on Facebook too.
Yeah.
It's just Circa Old Houses. You can just dive into a rabbit hole, and it's so much fun to look inside these old houses. And most of them are for sale, but they do feature ones that are not for sale, but almost always they're ones that are for sale. It's just fun to see.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm not trying to cut you off.
And that's fine. You cut me off.
One of the biggest mistakes people make when they paint a house or draw a house is they don't take into consideration roof overhangs very well. Mm-hmm. So, yes, if I were to come straight down, here's our building, just so you guys can see that. The roof on this particular one comes over, but it's going to overhang a little bit. So I did about 1/4 inch of overhang.
Oops.
Straight up. Straight up. You did an angle. Do it straight up.
Okay.
Vertical.
I
And then
need to
this
make my
roof is
house
going
a
to
little
extend over, and it's also going to stick out about 1/4 inch past the turret, because the turret is the end of the house. Like so. You can loosely fill this in. I'm not too worried about color right now. Just kind of sticking in this kind of grayish blue tone. And the reason for that is, I always think of like old haunted houses are either like all the paint's been stripped off of them and it's just you're seeing the sun destroyed wood, or they're used to be white and they're old and dirty. And I'm just talking specifically about like horror movie houses. I guess this is more. Yeah, I guess it's a haunted house, I guess.
Oh, I've never done that, Kim. She said she likes going to old cemeteries and do tracings of the old stones. Like those...
Pioneer cemeteries?
What do they call them? Brass rubbings and...
Wax
rubbings. Yeah, I think that's really
We
cool.
literally live like 1/4 mile from a Pioneer cemetery, too.
Yeah, it's really neat to go walk through there. It's been a while since I've done that.
I don't think I ever have.
But the coolest cemetery we've been through is the one in Boston on the
for
Freedom
sure.
Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And it had Mother Goose's grave.
And Samuel Adams and Benjamin Franklin's
Did it have
parents.
Paul Revere?
I don't remember, but there was a lot of really cool historic people buried in that one particular.
Highly recommend if you get over there sometime. Do the Freedom Trail. It goes right through the city.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely... I felt like that was the highlight of our trip.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, there was one part where you're standing in a square, or like on the sidewalk, and you're in front of this old building, and you read about the building, and it was actually where the... I don't remember who it was, but somebody went out on the balcony of it and read the Declaration of Independence aloud to people for the first time, and I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Well, there's that little bar called the Dragon's
Green
Blood,
Dragon.
whatever, where they met to plan their whatever it was.
So that's not actually the same bar. It's just named after the original.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's like, I think the original one burned down or something.
Okay. Well, okay then.
But it was cool because it's in the same location. Mm-hmm. And Paul Revere's house was like, remember we saw that? And it was like, wow, that's really what houses back then were like. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we want to do a little bit of a veranda. I'm going to kind of come straight down. Well, we're going to come down about 2/3 of the way or so. And I want to the top edge of this to extend the same distance as my other roof, and it's going to go all the way across to my turret. Now this is only I'm going to find about in line with my other peak. I'm going to paint a little triangle, that's where on the front porch where you go in. How are we doing time-wise?
We're at 6:30. Just about 6:30.
Right about an hour.
So right now, are you drawing this roof line?
Yeah, the veranda.
Maybe let's show people this.
Well,
It's been a while
it might
since you've
confuse them.
referenced it.
Okay.
Show them what line you're painting.
This one right here.
Okay.
Yeah. You're micromanaging, Jenny.
I am.
All right, I'm just going to extend this over on the other side of our little turret as well, because I feel like this is other parts of the house that are sticking out. How's everybody doing with their house? Or are you guys just watching tonight? I don't know. All right, so for this little part right here that sticks out, I'm going to go ahead and drop a line straight down on the outside edge. And maybe about 3/4 of an inch or so below it, I'm going to go ahead and paint another horizontal line. Actually, yeah, that should also go all the way across there. Oh, so much of this is going to come together when we start doing highlights and shadows, and it's not like a lot of highlights and shadows. Okay, somebody's just watching. Okay, that's good. I think this is one that's probably a good one to watch first and then go back and do. I'm going to go ahead and underneath my little triangle, I'm going to go ahead and paint down a couple little. This is our little deck, front porch. And again, we're going to establish that it's there, but then I don't want it to just feel like it's just sitting on there. So I'm going to fuzz it out using my number 4. I've got all kinds of different shades and colors going on with this, but this is our basic house. We'll come back and, if you want to add a chimney, you can do it. Make sure it's not out over your overhang. I'm going to do one right there. That's for the kitchen. I'm going to do one over here. I mean, that's apparently in a part of the building we can't see. And we'll come back and we're going to put some railings on and things like that. We're going to add some extra little details here and there. While we're using our number 4, let's go ahead and let's add a couple windows on this building. You can do what you want, but I did one right in the middle of the top. That's where Gus the Friendly Ghost hangs out.
Oh, Gus. I can't remember. Did you have that book when you were a kid?
Oh, for sure.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites.
Me too. The kids both love it too.
I'm going to do 2 more. And I'm just using black for right now. I'm not worried about this being perfectly straight. We are going to go ahead and I'm going to make these a little taller. We'll come back later and add some glow. I actually put a person in one of the windows, but they're really small, so it's hard to see.
Oh, should we zoom in?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
You've got it.
Oh, I do.
Just now thought of that. We need to remember we have that feature.
So you can see there's nothing precise going on here.
No, in fact, if you make it messier, I've found it
looks better.
I've gone back and kind of roughened up some of my outlines just because I don't want it to be like perfect architecture. I want it to look like it's could use some little upgrades.
And I am doing these in black, but we're going to do some other colors and stuff over those. So you can add one here, you can add one here, you can add a door. But these are just more, again, I don't want this to be intimidating because we're getting too mechanical. And just do some 3 windows there. Let's do 3 more here. Clearly not very detailed. Now we'll do the path later. I kind of did the path in the photos. If you guys look at the photos, there's some things that went on in the path and stuff that I changed later and just kind of got ahead of myself. That happens sometimes. So I'm going to let that dry. While we're using let's switch to our number 8. Are you caught up, Jenny? Mm-hmm. Okay.
For the most part, I'm just doing my windows, but that won't take long.
Okay. I'm going to take my number 8 now. I'm going to zoom back. Yeah, actually, I'm just going to move my canvas. There we go. I got a lot of white showing on my canvas, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to take my number 8 and some black. I don't want very much paint on the brush. It's almost too much. Too much black. So if you get too bold, you can mix together a little bit of your blue and orange and soften it up. Mostly I just started off with too much on my brush. I'm going to zoom out a bit. And there we go. So just mostly starting across the top edge. And the reason we want to start at the top edge is I want to use less and less of this as I work my way down from the top edge. And here's a little trick, you guys. Sorry, I was kind of off. There we go. Here's something that can really help your clouds. Boom! Everybody's asking for it. Now you got it. I'm going to zoom in. I gotta move. I can't move the camera. I can only move the canvas. Okay. So this area up in here, I'm just gonna use a little bit of the black. And what I want to do is I want to add a lot of bumpy, kind of soft, bumpy texture. So I'm not trying to fill it in, but I'm leaving lots of bits. Adding little bits. And as I'm working my way down, I'm not going to come down very far, just maybe 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches.
Oh, you can't see what you're doing.
Let's zoom back out. Because I don't...
You still are off camera. There you go.
All right. I don't want to come down very far with that intense black. I just want a little hint of it up there. And the reason is what it does for us is it helps us balance the sky. So when we start adding our darker colors in,
Add our darker colors in.
Yeah, as we add our darker colors in. Well, thank you. That was nice.
We got there, a donation. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate that for sure.
We want just a hint of it up here because when we get really dark down in here, we want it to feel balanced. And if we leave it completely without, then we're not gonna quite. It's just subtle. It's just a subtle thing. I'm gonna zoom back out. It's just a subtle little hint that gets it working. And if you need to soften it, you can always mix your cloud color again. And one thing that happens sometimes is like I just mix a cloud color and it's a little different just because I'm mixing as I go. A little different than the other colors in the sky. So I'll just throw a little bit of that color elsewhere. So it feels like it doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like it's supposed to be there.
So I found that like painting some on and then washing my brush and just using some water.
Yeah, you can lift it a
helps
little
with
bit.
this a lot. Like
Yeah.
it helps you fade these darker areas into the lighter areas a little bit better.
Well, and it can help lift the color if you get too much. And so the color underneath is already dry, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But so it's just a little subtle hint. Mine's a little bit more intense, like usual, but that's okay. I kept it up really close up to the top. And zoom out a little further. There we go. Your sky is really ominous.
Good.
Yeah, I like it, at least from here.
Yeah, that's pretty ominous.
Yeah. Yeah, I like yours better. It's softer. Okay.
Funny.
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some gravestones, some tombstones in here. And this is where it kind of got kind of fun, and I was really thinking about, I think I mentioned last night, I dialed it back, like what I wanted to do. I wanted to include zombies. I wanted to include, in fact, I should go get our zombie shuffle.
I can go
painting.
get it. I saw it the other day.
Gosh, that's not even a good painting, really.
But it was one of the
fun.
first. It was the very first Halloween painting.
Yeah, and it was fun, and we timed it with Walking Dead.
Yeah, because Walking Dead came out that year.
Yeah, well, I think it was the second season of Walking Dead, but
Zombie shuffle. You're gonna have to zoom out.
oh yeah, I will. Well, I can only zoom out.
Isn't it Seattle?
Yeah. No, I made it Portland. So here's our zombie shuffle painting, and we had the red sky, and here we've got the coin tower.
The Walking Dead down there.
Yeah, and I had a lot of fun. I was like, oh, let's put a skull. Boy, this is really bad.
No, it's not. Why do you think it's bad?
Well,
I like it. I like this bright line along here.
I mean, I shouldn't
like
say
the
it's
rain.
bad. It's just I've progressed.
I like this guy
a lot.
right there.
Yeah. So I was tempted to include some of these shadows, and I was inspired by this painting. For this painting, for the new one, there was elements of it. Gosh, when did we do this?
It was probably 2013,
2012?
2013.
Probably 2012. Anyway, so that was a fun one, and we did do a version of it that was Seattle, because us in Portland, we like to kind of get our jabs in at Seattle on occasion.
You're in a zombie apocalypse, and we're not.
It's- Haha, you started with Seattle. And you know what would be funny? It would be to do it and have them all holding Starbucks cups.
That would. We're all zombies for Starbucks, aren't we?
Yeah, it literally is
We have love for Seattle. I love
the
Seattle, and
zombie
you love the
plague
Mariners.
that has taken over. All right. So I'm just mixing up kind of our darker color again, and I'm just gonna start
Is that
painting.
blue and orange?
Yeah, blue and orange. And I'm just going to start painting some little basic tomb shapes. And I'm not worried about the bottom edge. Again, we want the bottom edges of all of this stuff to kind of feel like it disappears. So I'm starting a little bit higher on the canvas. I'm doing a little bit smaller ones. That one's getting big. That's all right. So I worry more, like, I get the shape of the top, and then I just kind of... let me zoom it in.
Mariners, Astros are in the inning 16 as we paint.
Wow, 16.
That's a big, long
So the
game.
Mariners weren't even... I'm actually wearing kind of a Mariners color tonight. I'm mostly just kind of getting this going with basic shapes.
Broken down, rounded graves.
Yeah, but I've got a couple... Like, I've got one... Like, this is a good case where you can do one with a cross. I always think it's nice to add...
You can do zombies too.
So that was actually what I was going to say is like if we'll come back in and add some fog back in, but you could put, like you could totally do like a hand coming up. I'm going to zoom in really close. You can do like a little hand coming up like You know, it doesn't necessarily look like a hand because it's so small. But
that's like a snowman hand.
Yeah. Well, you can't detail anything that small.
He's got some fingers that broke off, that's all.
You can have all kinds of fun. I'm going to zoom back out here. But you can do as many or as few as you want. You can do some bigger. Try to scatter them though. Like try not to get them too like organized. Fade out the bottom edges.
I don't like that.
Right. I'm going to add a spooky figure. So I actually really wanted to add. I wanted to add Max from Stranger Things floating.
I remember you talking about that.
But then I was like, okay, that's just going to be too much. So for a spooky figure, I am going to paint a little circle right here. Right? That's all. I'm going to paint a little triangle, like a little shoulders here. You don't want to get too wide with them, but I'm going to add a little bit of water to my mix here.
Kim says your painting is so pretty.
Well, thank you.
The zombie one probably, huh?
The paint.
This one too, though.
I think
it might be this one.
It could be this one. The process of painting for the studio is a lot different than the process for painting in here. I'll just put it that way. So I'm creating shoulders and then just dragging some little shaky lines.
It's Michael Jackson in Thriller.
Yeah. And I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't want to get too detailed on any of this because it kind of takes away if you like what's the thing that's spooky about like haunted houses and anything is what you can't see, right? So if we put too much that we can see, then it's like, oh, okay, it's not scary anymore. We know it's not anything there. Yeah, it ended up looking just more like another gray. Well, no, it kind of looks like a person.
I'm doing the Vincent Price laugh. We can never do it.
You know, I remember like when Thriller came out. It was like 1983 or something like that. And I remember like there was the whole bow 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 bow, and then Vincent Price would start telling his story, and I used to hear that song. It used to terrify me.
Oh, really? Were you terrified of Thriller?
Well, with the music video, I remember it was like, I think Sid will have to refresh my memory, but I think Sid was living at home at that point in time, and Sid and I have a bit of an age gap, but I remember there was this big, huge like deal about the music video coming out for it, and so I think I remember watching it.
You guys sat down and watched the premiere.
Yeah, probably. And I just remember it terrified me. Like I was not old enough for that.
Well,
and then part of it then was Vincent Price is just spooky.
Well, and like okay, so I didn't get MTV till I was in middle school. Like we didn't have cable till like middle school, and you had MTV at age 5, so yeah, you were a lot younger.
We had it
than
when
me.
It first launched.
I probably saw the Michael Jackson Thriller video when I was in middle school.
Yeah. So I mean, I just remember hearing it even on the radio, and Vincent was such a good storyteller. Like I don't even remember what the story like he was telling was about, but it was like, oh, I'm scared. No. All right, let's get back to working on our house. I'm going to leave those for now. We're going to come back in and do a little bit more fog here in a bit. Yeah, the unknown. That's what makes it scary. So that's why we don't want to like be like, okay, here's everything that you should be spooked out about. Yeah, that's what I remember as well.
I moved back home, so I keep going to college. Oh, yeah, that could be.
Yep, I remember.
And then
I remember.
Paul had to sleep with the light on for the rest of his days.
I still do. Terrifies me. I can't go outside after dark. It's horrifying.
That's not true, because we walk our dogs at night.
Oh yeah, we've already told everybody that. All right, so back to our house. So what I want to do is I'm going to mix up a little bit of our dark color we've been using. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of black to it because I want this to be a little bit darker. And we're going to go ahead and just the roof. I'm taking the number 8 brush, by the way. And I'm not painting it in solid. I'm just dabbing, like I'm thinking of like the little shingles. I want there to be texture.
We should go home and watch that video
Bow, bow.
for nostalgia
Bow, bow.
sake. I remember always thinking that, there's the scene with Michael Jackson's on the date with the girl in the beginning. They're going to the movies.
Well, I think it's funny how that's become such a meme.
And she's so pretty.
You know, him eating popcorn is like a meme for any time somebody's like arguing on Twitter or something like that. All right, so just doing this. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Going to do the same thing on our turret. And I'm just tapping the brush. Just give it a little tippy tap.
Tap it in. Tap, tap, taparoo.
Tap, tap, taparoo. Now I'm going to take a little bit of just pure black now. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to take a little bit more of this. I've got to do this roof down here too. This is kind of like 2-stage shadows. This is our middle shadow, and then we'll do a little bit deeper shadow in some spots. I'm going to take a little bit of this and just kind of smudge it down. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just taking the brush, I'm turning it so it matches my angle, and I'm not going 90 degrees from that. I'm just going straight down, just giving it a little flick. Little fluff. Do that under here. Just lost that root, or in that window. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. I don't usually worry about stuff too much. We'll come back and we're going to do, like, if you want to take a little bit of just plain black, you can do a little, like, redo your line there.
This thing, I think, is called a cupola.
I think it could be.
Is that right?
I think you're right.
My uncle's old house. You remember that one? Did you ever go to it? That old house?
No.
It had one. That house was just like this house when they bought it. And I remember my cousin was like my age. She's actually a year older. And we got to go. I think we were in middle school. She was maybe a freshman. I was an 8th grader. And I remember going in and touring that house and being like, thank God I don't live here. I would be terrified all night long because it's like so antique. It had one owner. And you could literally touch the lace curtains hanging in the window, and it's just your hands touching them, they would crumble into dust.
Wow.
Everything was left original. And the old man, his parents had built it, and he lived in it. And he was like 80 something, maybe 90. And he just lived on the property in a little trailer. So that house had never been touched on the inside. They got to keep all the furniture and everything.
Wow.
And the crumbly lace curtains. It was like a haunted house.
Yeah, I'm going to do my Luke Wilson, Ray.
Okay.
Or Owen Wilson. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. All right, so I'm just doing kind of the same thing, but using a little bit of black. Still, I want to leave texture. I don't want it to all go away. You can do a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of this darker shadow color. How are we doing time-wise? We're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. We have a subtle bet going on as to whether I will finish faster tonight than Jenny did last night. But we will not sacrifice.
He's not going to rush us.
No, we will not sacrifice the instruction for a petty bet between a husband and a wife. We actually don't have a bet. We should, though.
When we left the house, Greta was like, how long till you're back home? And that's when we were discussing it. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Dad's painting is going to take longer than mine.
So far, we're doing all right. So I'm just adding little hints of shadows to kind of create some...
Little hints of shadows?
Some little shadows. You can take this color and just kind of... There's a garden over here.
Is that a shadow from the house?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Mostly
it's just to create separation between this middle foreground and the background. And take your biggest brush and...
Got it.
Smudge it out. All right. We're going to do... I'm going to take our number 4 brush. I feel like we should just go ahead and just knock out the house real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to take that same color that we just mixed for our shadows. I'm going to add some white to it. Make sure it's kind of still our gray color. So it should be like a little lighter. We could use a little bit more white. It needs to be, I guess my background right here is pretty blue. But I'm just going to start taking this color where the siding of the house is.
What color are you using?
It's basically the same color. I just added some white. I actually want to.
So you're doing a lighter color for the siding, like?
Yeah, like it's old.
Weathered wood.
Yeah. I'm going to zoom in.
Good idea.
I'm just tapping this color in. Now, mine ended up like I feel like the base color is a little too light to begin with. And that's okay. I'll come back and add some dark.
Yeah, I think mine's a little... We just followed your direction, Paul.
I didn't say we didn't.
I think you could add little streaks of the dark charcoal gray in there.
Yeah, and that's actually what... And if you look at the original painting, that's kind of what we've got going on. But again, I don't want to fill this in solid. That's kind of... Even if you lose little bits of your windows and stuff, that's okay. We can always bring those back.
You can always make like some of the windows boarded up.
You could. If you want to put all that extra detail into it, go for it.
It could be done over a series of days.
You totally could work on this for days and days and days if you wanted to. Like just work on the house once you get everything else done.
Mm-hmm.
You can even take a little bit lighter color. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add some streaks in because I feel like this area up here, because the colors were so similar, I'm just going to mix up my dark color. It's a little too blue. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Too blue, a baby. See, I'm not putting time into making this like be like, oh, this is like perfect siding.
We want it to look like it's patched siding.
Just, it's aged. It's a little bit twisted. Actually, that's a thing now. Have you seen that where they do like the live edge siding?
No. What?
Yeah.
No, I've not ever seen that.
Well, you know what, like live, oops, I got that. Look, they've got a satellite dish.
No! Turn it into a bat. It's a figure.
It's a figure. Mysterious figure. I'm going to come back and do a little extra highlights on this too. Right now the windows are like just too bold. So I'm going to take some little light gray color here.
Put some figures in there.
Good. Just going to add some glass. Yeah, the downside of sometimes being a little bit on the sloppy side of painting is sometimes a brush stroke gets away from you. Actually, I know what to do. I know how to do this.
What kind of siding is on the turrety area?
It's just regular shingles.
On the main body of it?
Mm-hmm.
Shingles?
Yeah.
Like roof shingles?
No, like siding shingles.
Do they call them shingles?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting. The more you know.
I wouldn't make too much of a spectacle of the fact that you didn't know that.
I would call them siding planks.
There's nuts.
But they're really called shingles?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't have a career as a builder.
There. I turned that extra little brush stroke into a tree.
Mr. Fix-It.
Oh, you could call it shakes. Does that make more sense to you?
Yeah, if they're like cedar shakes.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to mix up a lighter color yet. It's still the same basic mix. I'm just adding a little bit of white to it. And I want to add, we're going to add some trim around our windows.
Mark asked if the figure is smoking a cigar.
You might be.
So the reason we say figure is because we watch...
Slap Tam.
We watch a... he's Australian, right?
I think
Australian
so.
YouTuber who posts paranormal videos, and it's fun to watch. It's like, so many of them are like, yeah, that's fake. Yeah, that's fake. But he pronounces... In Australia, they pronounce figure, so he calls it figure. And they pronounce it that way in other countries, too.
It's not the way it's spelled, I'm just telling you. Actually, it is kind of the way it's spelled. So I'm just using this lighter color to add some trim to our windows. I'm going to go ahead and add some trim on this roof line here. I'm going to add trim on this roof line here.
Paul used to build houses, so this is why we're doing all this.
That's true. Hey, I'm just like being like, I know people want detail. Here's your detail time.
Time to detail.
So I'm just adding little posts, a couple little posts that support the roof here. We're going to add a railing. So for the railing, I'm just kind of going up about a third of the way from our deck line to the roof, painting a horizontal line. And then some vertical balusters. Just taking a little bit of a kind of a lighter gray here and just adding some
You could maybe zoom in a little more.
texture.
There we go. Oh, you put you lined your windows with
Yep.
siding or trim.
Yeah.
Yeah. My house actually looks messier than yours.
That's good.
Yeah, actually, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Yeah, it was messier than Paul. That is always a goal with painting.
Yeah, I feel like
Jenny, be more messy.
this area right here got a little too precise on mine, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. But this is the kind of thing, like when I said earlier, that you could work on this for days.
It'd be fun, like, to just Google different pictures of houses that are old and decrepit.
I keep hearing movement in here.
You've got a mouse. This building does settle a lot, though. My gosh, I put, like, little boards over my windows, and I love the look of it. You should show. My
Okay.
windows on my turret thing, I boarded them up, and I like the way they look.
Yeah, Jenny's is definitely spookier, and yours is messier. It looks good. I like it. Good job, Jenny.
Yeah, the boarded up windows. I was a little unsure of how that would look. But
So-
now I'm like proceeding to board all them up. I need to stop myself. Make me stop, Paul. Make me stop.
You know. So I'm just adding some white for the glass, and I'm gonna come back and add. You know, we'll soften this up a bit. One of them I'm gonna add some like a candle light in. There we go. But just play around with this. Again, this is the kind of thing that you can work on this house as long as you want. There's no right or wrong.
Like I've said it a million times in our videos, Da Vinci's the one who said paintings are never finished. They're just abandoned. So you can work on your house, your abandoned house, until you're ready to abandon it. And you can come back to it and unabandon it and then abandon it again.
Yeah, but just you have to draw the line at some point where if it's causing you distress, be like,
If it's
okay,
causing you distress, just remember it's just a little go box painting.
it's just a go box painting. All right. So I'm okay with that for now. Okay, so next step we're going to do is we're going to work on our big tree. And so our big tree is really wonky, really. I wanted it to feel like it was really like kind of alive. So I'm actually going to take my number 8 brush. You could do this with your biggest brush too. But I'm just going to use black. So deal with it. We're going to use
Deal
black.
with it.
I'm going to come in from the edge of the canvas about 1 inch, come up about 2 inches or so. And I'm just going to start. I'm not going to worry about the trees in the background. I'm going to start making a nice, thick, craggy trunk that comes up. I like to take the bottom edge. We're going to feather this out, but
Craggy snaggy.
one thing you want to make sure of, when trees get a little bit looking unusual, it's a lot of times because the bottom's not the thickest part. People have a swell in it or something. And so make sure you don't do leave yourself a swell. So I'm just going to kind of make this trunk just chop off and get struck by lightning at some point in time.
We're using just black for that.
Just black. Yep. The original owner of the house was doing experiments, and it caused this tree to be struck by lightning.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now I'm going to do a secondary branch. Now all of this is like, one of the mistakes I think people make with trees is they make the branches too short and stout. Like, stout's fine, but it still needs to trail out. And I'm just going to kind of just meander. I try not to go too curvy. I try to kind of go more jagged. Like, there are curves. And that's okay. It won't hurt anything. This looks like a spot where another branch comes up. And I'm doing this really...
What was that noise?
See, that's what I'm saying. There's noises going on in here, isn't there?
That was kind of creepy. That was like a creepy, like, door slowly opening noise.
Yeah, I mean,
We're summoning the spirits from these gravestones.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of get... Like, okay, like one of my things is I always say, okay, you only want to have 2 branches come out from one spot, right? So I got the main trunk, I got 1 branch, that's our 2. I'm going to go ahead and have another branch come out right there. There's our unorthodox way of dealing with it.
What do you call it? A who's it branch?
No, we haven't done the who's it.
Okay.
We'll do the who's it. There's a little broken trunk right there. And we'll switch in. And I'm not worried about getting this all like really perfectly like filled in and stuff like that. I don't like doing that on trees. So I'm going to switch now to my smallest brush. And I'm going to take any of these and just feather them out. Or not feather, but let them branch out. I think that's my branch for our owl.
Oh, yeah, we got to do the owl branch for sure.
Yeah, I got him a little higher this time. Well, actually, I can do it right here. But you can really knock yourself out with this. And I don't mean like literally injure yourself, but I mean you can really go to town. And I don't mean literally get in the car and go to town. I'm a dad. Can you tell?
Dad jokes. Greta's at home rolling her eyes, I'm sure.
Is she watching?
No.
Then she's not.
She can just feel it. She can
sense
feel
it.
the dad joke energy.
We're going to get home and she's going to be like,
You told one, didn't you?
Dad jokes tonight.
I'm going to tell her. I'm going to show her that part of this video.
Why would you do that?
Dad said.
Why would you do that? You would do that, actually.
I think a lightning bolt would look pretty cool in here.
That's what I was saying. Remember?
What color would you make it?
White.
Like maybe like a really bright green too.
No,
if
it's
it would
hard to
show-
do. Like
Yeah,
I
colors
would
really
I
hard
would
to make.
discourage you from trying to do it in green. I have tried.
Purple.
I've tried. We don't have red.
It's not hard to go get red paint.
Oh yeah, for you, but so just lots of little branches. All right. Boy, I think you're going to beat me. I think you're going to beat me time-wise. I think yesterday. Our bet.
What do I get?
I don't know. Hey, good morning, beautiful.
A brand new Ferrari.
For free? I don't even remember what that was from.
I don't either.
All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our little gate entry area. And so I'm just going to kind of create a little jagged little turret, another one, or not turret, but a pillar, another one there. Now this is the key part on this. I'm going to zoom in. This is how we're going to build this out. I'm just going to take my brush and scribble it side to side and work my way down. Now, from there up, kind of just smudge it out into the tree area. From there down, we can go pretty intense on this left-hand side. All right, same thing on the other side. I'm just gonna kind of. Actually, this other side is gonna be a little bit more intense. So right through here, I'm actually just gonna take this brush now. It's a hedge, if you're wondering.
Overgrown hedge.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to just softly just kind of like have this fade out. So it feels like there's a little bit of space between it and the house. And I'm going to take a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, a little bit of orange. Just mix like, I don't want it pure black. Ooh, that's too much orange. Oh, that's too much blue. That's alright, we'll live. This really dark, oh, you guys can't see that, sorry. This really dark color here. Right below this door here. Just gonna take my brush. Just wiggle it side to side. Wiggle it just a little bit. Don't be afraid of hitting into your columns that we painted. They're actually getting really close to being done. Is everybody still with us? Feel like it's gotten really quiet. And take my big brush and some black. Just kind of streak it through here. Now I do want to paint our pumpkins. So for the pumpkins, you can use your smallest brush. And we're just going to use black. And on either side of our columns, we're just going to paint a little ball.
Kim says, yep, we are enthralled. That's good. It's good we're not boring anybody to death.
I feel like I'm just kind of getting into a zone.
You have entered the painting zone.
I think this is why I don't like detail so much, is I tend to zone out.
Paul zoned out today working on installing a new car stereo and speakers into his truck that he's had since, what year is that truck? 2005?
Yeah, I've had it for 17 years.
And I was like, we were laughing so hard, we were like, it's like you're 20 again.
It was. I mean, it's like
putting your subwoofer in there.
Well, it had a subwoofer in it, but I decided I want to drive it more, and I didn't have the ability, it didn't have hands-free in it, so I had to upgrade the stereo, and then once I upgraded the stereo, then the factory subwoofer didn't work anymore, because that's just the way it goes. So then I was like, okay, I got to put a new subwoofer in, and I had to.
So he made sure that that's the vehicle we drove in tonight, so he could show me all his all his
Hey,
stereo work.
it sounds pretty good,
We were
doesn't it?
flipping through Spotify. Let's listen to this song. Let's listen to this song.
It sounded pretty good.
With the bass, let's listen to this one.
I had to build a speaker cabinet to contour and fit behind the back seat. I had to remove so many internal body panels. I had to take all the seats out at one point or another.
That's literally what you did today, though.
That's what I did. And I'm actually kind of feeling kind of tired. And it's so silly because everybody's like, you love that truck. I'm like, yep, I do. I'm going to drive it until it doesn't run anymore. And people are like, what is it, a Chevy or something? I'm like, nope, it's a first generation Honda Ridgeline, baby.
We already have the Ford F-150.
I got the Ford F-150 with 90,000 miles on it that needs a new engine already.
Because it's a Ford.
And I got the Honda Ridgeline with 152,000 miles, and it's only ever needed a oil change.
Yeah, we actually saved it for our son to drive, but he doesn't have any interest in getting his driver's license, and as long as he's feeling like he is not comfortable driving, we're not going to force him.
And it's paid for, and it gets better gas mileage than the Ford. Okay, so I've mixed up a little bit of lighter color than our base color in here.
Oh, baseball game is into inning 18 now, according to Debbie.
That is a lot of innings. So I played college baseball, so that's junior college. I wasn't real fancy and go to a 4-year college to play baseball, but
And then you played City League.
yeah. I played until I was 30. So I have passed it, but I don't. People are always like, "Well, who's your favorite team?" I'm like, I don't really pay any attention anymore.
Yeah, I
paid
asked you that
attention-
the other day. I asked you some question about it. You're like, I don't even watch it too much anymore. Except for you always know who's playing, like...
The World Series.
Yeah, and like you were mentioning one of the teams the other day. Maybe it was the Mariners. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was the Mariners because they hadn't been to the playoffs in 21 years or something. They had the longest record in all sports of longest stretch without going to the playoffs. Active. All right, so we're just working in a little bit of this lighter color, fogging up the bottom edges of our gravestones and our spook. You can take a little bit of this lighter color over here if you want to as well. But I just kind of just let this color just fade out into our background so it just doesn't feel like it just stops.
I kind of want to live here.
That's kind of weird.
No, it's not. It's a neat old house.
All right, so I'm good with that. We're going to leave that. I think the original, think the fog had a little bit more of a grayish cast, and this one it's got a little bit more of a real foggy kind of tone. I'm not sure which I like better. I think they're equally as interesting in that regard. All right. So our next step, we're pretty much like down to just last little details. And again, this is one of those that I feel like I've given you the canvas. Now you can run with it and have a lot of fun making it as spooky as you want. All right, so I'm going to zoom in on our pumpkins because this is where... no, that tombstone ended up looking like Chucky.
Use your orange. Give him orange hair.
So the pumpkins, the thing that's good about the pumpkins is I really kept them really simple, and we're just going to take our smallest brush. We're going to take a little bit of orange. We are going to just give a little hint of some orange along this left side.
I'm waiting a bit on mine because I just painted my pumpkins on.
Actually, this part's fine if it mixes a little bit.
Okay.
Because we're just adding just a little smudge on there so we recognize that there's shape.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to do the eyes, the face. All we're going to do is just 2 orange dots and a little jagged shape like that. Piercing eyes. He's got hungry eyes.
Hungry.
2 days in a row.
You've got a problem.
This one's more happy. I don't know why, but I just love the way those pumpkins look. And if you really wanted to get into it, you could take a little tiny dab of yellow in the middle of each eye, but they're so little. Yeah, I like that. All right. Then we want to add a little bit of some glow because they're casting glow. So I'm going to take a little bit of orange on my number 4. I don't want very much paint, so I'm going to just dip a little bit in and I'm going to tap most of it off, and then just right below, just going to give a little. Almost looks like they have a beard. And if you get that first one, I got a little too close to it, and it's like, okay, that's easy. I just take a little bit more black and. So just a little glow there. We'll glow there. And then we can add some stems. This guy's stem's not going to be as visible, but it's there. Now, in this same area, you can take like your number 4. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And you can add, just with some black now, you can just add some, you can use your smallest brush too. Some little hints of a broken fence. Maybe there's a bigger fence post over here. You can kind of do the same on the other side if you've got some lighter areas, but we kind of don't really have a lot of lighter areas on the right-hand side. What else do we got? We got our owl, we got birds, and we got some sky reflecting down here, and then we'll be done. So let's switch to our number 8. Actually, let's keep using black real quick. Let's switch to our smallest brush. There's that. So for the owl, you can do an owl, you can do a crow, you can do a raven, you can do a peacock if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter. But the owl is kind of the easiest one. We're just going to kind of do a pretty round head. And a little body. Little tail feathers. There's our owl. Then birds. Smallest brush. You can thin your paint down a little bit, but just little shapes like that. And you can, there might be bats. I don't know. Do as many as you want. I don't say that ever really when it comes to birds, but this painting, it's justified.
It's more Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
The birds.
Vary your sizes up a little bit if you can.
It'd be funny if that back area, right, the tree line at the horizon, you could have it be like Children of the Corn.
Do a bunch of little spooky kids in overalls. Alright, so there's the birds. I'm going to zoom in again. Yeah, I think we're going to finish almost the exact same amount of time. Okay, I'm going to take my number 4 brush. We want to, if we look at the original, we've got some hints of bark on the tree here. And we're going to add some hints of that. And we just want to use kind of our gray color that we've been using throughout. Just the blue and orange, a little bit of white. Doesn't take very much white. And just really streak it. You can do a little bit more white, I guess. And I'll come back and add the face in just a second. You don't need to do all the branches, just kind of just the big trunk is fine. I'm going to go ahead and add a face, so I'm just going to look and see, okay, there's kind of a spot there, there's a spot there, and there's his mouth. Now, I'm going to add orange in his eyes. Use the back side of my smallest brush, just like we're doing stars. That. If you want to do more eyes, you can do more pairs over here. Well, those ones didn't even show up. They're so small. We're cruising right along.
Did you show paintings for next month? Oh no, we haven't.
We haven't painted them yet.
No, what are we wanting to do?
Yeah.
This our videos this month are early, so normally by the 3rd week is about the time we have our paintings for the next month. So, but yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to think about it. I tend to be one of those people that, and you probably are too, we just kind of live in the moment as far
Wing
as
it.
inspiration. Planning out too far in advance is not good for me.
I honestly, like, if I think too much about a painting before I do it,
Yeah, that's
I
it.
really struggle. Like, I can have a basic idea, but I've had times where I really try to think a painting out, like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then it just doesn't work. So I am a fly by the seat of my palette kind of guy.
He's late enough with every painting idea he has that he has to just go with whatever colors I've chosen for mine.
It's easier that way.
I think you do like it seems.
Takes some pressure off of me having to pick colors.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to mix up some of our kind of sky color that's up in here. So I'm going to mix together a little bit of yellow. It's okay if your brush is a little bit dirty. It doesn't have to be pristine. And basically what we want to do is we want to give the suggestion that there's some puddles.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And actually on the original one, I'll do it on this one a little bit more precisely because I meant to do it on the original, or I kind of like, it was like an idea afterwards. So to do this, I'm just dragging the brush down. Just adding some. But I had a fun idea and it was kind of like too late to execute, but now I can do it.
It's the acid-filled swamp.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to take this color we just mixed up. I'm going to take my smallest brush and I'm going to do a footstep here. And a footprint here. And a footprint here. A footprint here. Now wait. Don't get too excited. And I'm going to put 2 right next to each other. And just stop. Stop. They came out of nowhere. They went to nowhere.
They went to the graveyard.
And they stopped. Where did this person go? We do not know.
We do not know.
Oh, I am got an opportunity here that I can't pass up.
What's that?
I will show you in a minute. I had to give him a nose.
This painting looks like a Goosebumps episode.
Totally does. Totally does. Say I gave him my nose, my tree.
Oh, yeah.
Scoundrels.
Yeah, he's the tree beard.
Treebeard.
Tree beard.
Oh, okay. So the other thing is the original painting. If I take some of this color, there's some hints of some brickwork on these columns. Just hints. It doesn't need to be much, like just like that. And then I also put like the suggestion that maybe there is a broken lantern on top of this one. So a little lantern. This one's maybe it's just like just broken. Zoom out. There's that. Now I feel like my windows, like if I'm looking at mine and I feel like they're just a little too abrupt, maybe.
Abrupt. You have to board him up, Paul.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But night, Kim.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna soften these up. And I just mixed up kind of a darker gray color that we've been using and just kind of glazing over it a little bit. If you want to put like a person in one, you can try, but it's so small. Yeah, I'm not going to try. I am going to put candle glow, though, in this top one. So I put the white on there before. I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow or orange. Let's zoom in. Take a little bit of orange, just kind of around the edge. Like so. And take a little bit of yellow. And outside of just doing a lot of cleanup work on your tree, not your tree, but your house and stuff, that's it. Oh, I know what's missing. Oh, maybe it's not really missing. All right. Wow. Wow.
Wow. You're probably about ready to sign it, huh?
Yep. You guys can't see what I'm doing. There you go. All right. Yep, it's time to sign it, you guys. Again, I would suggest you fight the urge to detail too much of this. It's really easy to fall into that trap. And I always try to remind people, it's like, okay, ask yourself if you're actually adding anything that needs to be there. And usually the answer is no, you're not. Doesn't mean it's always the answer, but usually it is. All right. All right.
All right.
So mine's all done. Oh, I need to sign mine.
Yeah.
How about next month we do 2 paintings that take less time?
Yeah, these were a little bit longer. But, sometimes it's kind of fun to throw in some that are a little extra.
Yeah, we had fun with this month, and I think that's why they ended up taking a little. Let's see how Jenny's turned out.
I added a lot of extra stuff to mine.
Oh, you added smoke. I thought about doing that.
And a ghost.
And a ghost.
You have to zoom in so you can see it.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I added smoke in the chimney. I wanted to make it look like somebody was home. And teeth on my tree.
Oh, I like the teeth on the tree. And you did a horned owl.
And I did fence.
Yeah. I like your fence. Oh, you put lights on the columns, too.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I actually might hang it in my little office space at home.
Yeah. Yeah, you did that extra little bits of work that I think really added to the house. Like, my house looks a little bland, even the original.
All really that I did with mine is I added some more lighter, I added 2 shades of gray for the siding. Mm-hmm. So one was medium gray, one was really light, almost white. And then I boarded up some of the windows to, I actually liked the way that looked. And I boarded up the front door. So all the light, there's lights on. But who is in there?
Right.
Gus. Gus is right there. Gus the ghost.
He's out there getting nasturtium seeds for his friend Mouse.
That's right.
Oh, I forgot to do a weather vane on mine. Oh, well.
I just did a cross.
Yeah. This is one that I think you could really do this house, yay tall. Make it tall and skinny. Mm-hmm. I always think haunted houses, I always think of being as more tall and skinny.
I think doing it again, I would make the house a little more wobbly, it looks like it's going to fall over.
Yeah, very Tim Burton-y. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would not accidentally paint a satellite dish and have to paint a
cigar
tree.
Smoking cigar.
Yeah. No, but I think this one turned out, this was a lot of fun.
I put the eyes in the... I keep put the eyes over here.
Oh, yeah.
I will.
That's an easy thing to add. Any other thoughts? What are your thoughts?
No, I had fun.
Cool.
I probably would add a little more black back to my house. I do like the black on the roof and stuff.
Yeah, this is one that, like I said, you could go back and really do a lot more work on it. Mm-hmm. The house, I think, is the one thing that you... all this other stuff, you don't need to do much more with all that other stuff, but the house could use more work. Or it doesn't have to. I'm fine with mine the way it is, but if you felt like you wanted to go back and spend more time working on the house, but again, you got to ask yourself, am I really adding anything to it, or am I just satisfying my need to perfect?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go back.
We're back.
We're back.
Hello.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
It was.
Happy Halloween to everyone. Hope you guys have a good holiday.
Yeah.
seemed like it really has flown up here fast. We're October 15th already. Had to check my
Halfway
watch.
through the month.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy that we're halfway through the month. I can't believe it.
It's insane.
Can't believe it. And then, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be
Christmas.
Christmas.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't build that up.
Yeah, I guess next time we see you live will probably be for November. If you have suggestions on paintings, send it our way. Email. What's our email address, Paul? Info@gobox.com.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Actually, I think it's support@gobox.com.
support at Gobox.
Message us on the website.
Message us on the website. It's
or
probably the
leave a comment here.
probably the better way.
That's the best thing. I can't see if anybody's commenting because we've got that.
Oh,
other
yeah.
window
I can
over.
get that out of the way. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight.
Said had to stop because can't keep up and want to do. Yeah, I agree. It's a little faster. I don't know. Maybe just more detail. That's probably what it was.
Yeah,
overall, more
we get to a
detail.
point and it's like you get down to the little details and stuff, and we got to get through them.
And sometimes you just want to take your time and
Yeah.
be able to think about and not rush to keep up.
Yep, because you can definitely rewind and pause and all that
Fast
stuff.
forward.
Yeah, easier when it's because it's.
It's yawning.
I didn't sleep very good last night. I don't know what the deal was. But anyway, you can. The nice thing is once we're done with the live stream, then that video is still available. So and you can go back and watch it anytime, and pause and do all that stuff that you need to for your own speed.
Yeah.
Because definitely Jenny and I tend to paint faster than most sometimes.
So we're
Anyway,
going to sign off.
we're gonna call it a
Say
night.
good night. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. GoBox.com.
GoBox.com.
Bye. Oh.